Hello and welcome to another album review that I'll be discussing today. Today marks the 6th anniversary of the album Out of Ashes by Chester Bennington's side project Dead by Sunrise. Now, this album was going to be released in 2006 at the time that Dead by Sunrise were known as Snow White Tan. But then the album got pushed to 2007. And it was going to come out in 2007, however, Linkin Park, they were working on a new album. So the album got pushed all the way back to October 13th, 2009. Now, the song that you're hearing in the background is entitled Let Down, which is the second single from this amazing release. And Crawl Back In was the first single, which are both good tracks. Now, the track listing is as follows. Now, the standard edition has 12 tracks, so those songs are Fire, Crawl Back In, Too Late, Inside of Me, Let Down, Give Me Your Name, and then the seventh track, known as My Suffering, is after that, and track 8 is Condemn, Into You, End of the World, Walking in Circles, and In the Darkness. And the deluxe edition contains a bonus track, which is entitled The Morning After. So, I'm actually going to go through the tracks here. And if you hear my computer talking, I'm using JAWS to go through the track listing and actually memorize the tracks on the album. So that's why I decided to name them, which I did since I memorized them. There. You know what? I'm actually going to open up my computer because I have the album on my external hard drive, so I might just do that instead of going on Wikipedia and reading the track listing in order to go through the tracks. Alright, so let's see. Alright, here we go. So Fire begins off with this awesome guitar riff that fades in, and it's amazing. I really like it. Very dark, very post-apocalyptic, according to Chester Bennington. That's what he mentioned about the whole album. Like, the entire thing is just very dark and moody. Darker than Linkin Park's music, and Fire is very slow. It is very abrasive, very just, it's one of those songs you gotta listen to when you're in the dark and you know, it's a nice cold October night and you just wanna get away from the world and you just wanna get yourself into the darkness in a nice warm room while trying to get yourself away from the cold. That's how I would describe Fire. And following that song is the first single, Crawl Back In, which was released back in August of 2009. And that song begins off with this nice riff that kind of reminds me of something that sounds very grungy and very dark. and I really enjoy Chester's vocals on that song. That song's it's very good. And Too Late starts out with this nice little guitar riff, and then the drums kick in, and I really enjoy Chester's harmonies on this song. Very, very spectacular and amazing. That song was going to be a single along with Inside of Me, which is the song after Too Late. However, Crawl Back In and Let Down were the only two singles off of Out of Ashes. And Inside of Me is a very fast track. It's the fastest song on the album. Kind of has that punk vibe to it. You know, it kicks off with this nice guitar riff that follow with the drums and bass. And Let Down is very slow, dark, and it starts off with this nice little synthesizer, orchestrated strings in the background. And by the way, Chester does both guitars and synthesizers on this album. Synthesizers. Talking too fast here. But Let Down is just an amazing track. I really like it. When I first heard it back on October 13th, 2009, I was blown away to the point where I wanted to listen to it over and over again. And Give Me Your Name, which is playing at the moment, kind of reminds me of a Bryan Adams song for some reason. Chester has these nice, clean vocals that are very soothing. This is a song you could listen to if you're in a relationship with whether you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. And this is just a good relationship song to listen to, if you're dating someone and you have that person visit you for a day and you want to put this song on and listen to it, while having a long talk with that special someone. So that's how I describe Give Me Your Name. It's very slow and very, very catchy, especially the choruses of the song. Now, the interesting thing about My Suffering is that this song kind of reminds me a lot of the song Stay Away from Nirvana off of their 1991 release Nevermind. Kind of almost has that vibe to it, because it doesn't follow the same exact guitar riffs, but as you listen to the beginning of the track that starts off with this nice guitar riff, it reminds me a lot of moments off of the track Stay Away by Nirvana. And I love the screaming on the song. The screaming is just fantastic. I really, really love it. And Condemn has the other type of guitar riff that reminds me a lot of Nirvana's music. And it's just amazing. I really, really like it. And I really like Chester screaming when he screams after the second verse, when he screams Condemn. It's very, very blood curdling, and it reminds me of something that he would do on both Linkin Park releases, Meteora and Hybrid Theory, because he did a lot of screaming like that on both of those albums. So that kind of has that Linkin Park vibe to it as you hear Chester scream Condemn on the track Condemn. And the slowest song on the album, known as Into You, is very, very dark. I really enjoy the guitar riff that starts out the song the right way, and it's just very, very intense. It's a song that I would listen to on a nice, beautiful, cold October morning. I could listen to this track while having a nice hot cup of coffee in front of me and while reading news articles online. So I could have this playing on my iPod or have this playing from my laptop as I'm having a cup of coffee. That's how nice and beautiful Into You is. And this track has to be my third favorite track off of the album besides Crawl Back In and Let Down. And End of the World, which follows after the track Into You, starts out with this nice guitar riff. It has these nice synthesizers that hear Chester playing in the track. And this is the only song on the album that has one curse word on it. There's no other profane words on this album, just that one, which is said throughout one of the verses of the track. And I really enjoyed the piano work that is on the album, on the track itself, because you really don't hear that much piano on the rest of the album except End of the World. You just hear the piano sounds that are composed during the verses of this track. And Walking in Circles, I'm gonna have to tell you that this song is my fifth favorite track off the album. I'm gonna have to say my fourth favorite song besides Crawl Back In, Let Down, Into You, and Walking in Circles. Well, my fourth favorite song, I'm gonna have to go with Too Late, because that's just an epic and dark track. So, this track, Walking in Circles, is very dark. It's very haunting. It's a song that you'll listen to if you're trying to get away from spirits or something like that. You know, it's just it just reminds me of, walking in a dark world, and you have to be quiet or else you'll wake up the ghosts and spirits that are sleeping away. Because you hear the first lines of the song, quiet, everyone's sleeping through life. So it kind of has that dark and murky feeling as you listen to Walking in Circles. And I really love Chester's vocals on the song. It's very beautiful and very, very amazing. I could just sleep through the song or have this on repeat all night as I'm sleeping. So, and the final track on the standard edition, known as In the Darkness, starts out with this nice electronic kick drum along with, the clapping effect that goes on. And then you hear Chester's dark vocals kick in. And it's just very, very awesome. Now, before I talk about more of this track, I wanted to mention that Walking in Circles has more of that keyboard effect to it. It kind of has that electric piano vibe to it. That's how amazing it is. And that's what I like about Walking in Circles, is that you could hear a lot of synthesizers used in that song, the electric piano vibe to it. And you could hear the synthesizers and the track Into You as well. So Into the Darkness, back to that song. You hear the electronic drums, not the drums itself, but the kick drum, and you hear the clapping effect, and then all of a sudden, after it heads into the pre-chorus part, you hear the guitars kick in, and the choruses on this track are very, very amazing, very dark, and very apocalyptic sounding as you listen to Chester's beautiful vocals. And the final track, known as The Morning After, which is not on the album that I have at the moment. I have the standard edition, but on the deluxe edition, the track The Morning After is just amazing. Very, very haunting sounding, especially the choruses and the verses of the song. If I were to give this album a rating, I'm gonna have to give this album a 10 out of 10. I heard this album at 3 o'clock in the morning at some point on October 13th, 2009. I was at my grandparents' house. They used to have this awesome 2-story house, and I stayed there over fall break with my brother and my cousins, and I couldn't sleep for some reason, so I was in the basement downstairs in one of the rooms. So I turned on my cousin's little stereo, had earphones on, and listened to the album. I apologize about that. My mother walked into the room and handed me some candy, so that's awesome. But back to the album, I'm gonna have to say that when I listened to the album when it was broadcasted on my local rock station on October 13th, 2009, I was at my grandparents' house and actually fell in love with the songs that were on the album. I really, really enjoyed it. That's what I really enjoyed about Out of Ashes. So once again, I would have to give this album a 10 out of 10. Because a 10 out of 10 for Out of Ashes is just, it deserves that rating. The album deserves that specific rating. So thank you for tuning into this awesome album review for the 2009 release of Dead by Sunrise's debut album, Out of Ashes. Hope all of you have a great evening, and stay tuned for more future album reviews. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up